the chair recognizes the good doctor from Pennsylvania for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this important hearing today. This year, our committee has discussed at length how critical an affordable and reliable grid actually is. Much of this conversation has been focused on how we can improve the generation, the transmission, and the distribution of electricity to support all of America's energy needs and to spur the economic and technological growth necessary to compete with our adversaries. As electricity and the demand for it continues to grow, and as we build out more infrastructure to support this demand, securing the grid against both cyber and physical threats, these will both become even more challenging. Building up necessary energy infrastructure is the first step in reliability, but keeping it operational in spite of numerous state and criminal actors who see our electrical grid as a target will be a continuous and an ongoing challenge. Each technological advancement used to enhance the grid or new piece of infrastructure that is brought online represents a new vulnerability for threat actors to target the political or financial gain that might be achieved. I represent an incredibly beautiful rural area in Pennsylvania, which provides unique challenges to both cyber and physical grid security. Mr. Lindahl, how can we ensure that we are utilizing the more limited resources in rural areas to identify and secure the infrastructure which is most vulnerable to attack and most critical to keep online?
I think through partnerships, one of the things we do well as cooperatives is we proactively take a look at what we can do to solve it, but then we also have the reactive approach. So we work, and it's quite evident when you see a hurricane come through Florida, let's say. We have a mutual aid system set up that we send folks down and help restore power in Florida. We have similar things set up with a lot of our equipment manufacturers and transformers and things like that nature. So that helps us mitigate when stuff does happen.
In central Pennsylvania, we see that cooperation with our rural electric co-ops. They're incredibly interactive and incredibly cooperative, whether in face of emergency or in the day-to-day activities that they provide.
That's right.
How can the coordination and information sharing that you talk about between rural electric co-ops like yours help those with limited resources to function more effectively?
So one of the things that we've talked about, and I talked about in my testimony, was funding programs like RMUC, the Rural Municipal Cybersecurity Program, because that helps us develop collectively the tools that we can, and we can share the knowledge and information from the larger cooperatives down to the smaller cooperatives, and it really allows us to share those resources among no matter your size.
Do you feel that any regulatory or knowledge barriers currently exist that make proactive coordination that you're talking about in advance of threats more difficult? And is there action that this committee specifically or Congress in general should take to remedy such barriers?
My caution would be as we develop regulatory environment, especially around physical and cyber, that we don't stifle the innovation to address the threat.
Boy, I am so glad you teed up innovation, because I think that is so important. So I'm going to move my questioning to Mr. Tudor. In your testimony, you referred to unmanned aerial systems and the testing of that. At Johnstown Airport in Pennsylvania, in my district, Dr. Larry Knowlton, through his group, Arium, is working to grow UAS pilot workforce and advance UAS innovation. You and I recognize how important that can be. Can you elaborate on how you see UAS integration as a way to improve grid security and how the training of a UAS workforce can prepare individuals for these security applications, as is currently going on right now in Johnstown, Pennsylvania?
Yeah, thank you for your question, Congressman Joyce. So, training in all of these critical areas is something that's near and dear to my heart, as well as innovation, as you mentioned. We have a UAS and counter UAS capability at the Idaho National Lab in that 890 square mile, working with programs such as those to help look at specific use cases. And one of those is the ability to look at different critical infrastructures, whether it's for overgrown vegetation or concentrations. So having those capabilities, using those UASs to help protect critical infrastructure is one of the early use cases, and I think it'll continue to be a use case for that.
Securing our electrical grid against threats we all recognize is critical, and we need to explore that even further. I look forward to working with this committee to ensure that America maintains the most reliable grid, the safest grid that is possible. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield.
The gentleman yields back, and